Good morning, YouTube. It is 10 a.m. in the great state of Texas. And have you ever ordered something on Amazon and it looked different in the picture, and then you got it, and then you get a package like this, and you're going, what the hell is this? So I ordered these like palms, like these pom-poms that I've done pom-pom bowls with before, if you've seen some other projects. And I thought these were going to be green. Well, they're green. I thought they were going to be green, large pom-pom bowls, like soft little cotton balls. And then I got this, and I'm like, what the hell? So now I have to improvise and figure out a different, use for them. So what we're going to do here is take these small little pom-poms that are not what I ordered off of Amazon. I did order these off of Amazon, but this is not what I thought they were. Put these on the bottom, and what we're going to do is a layered epoxy project. So small little project today, nothing too big, but the aesthetic looks absolutely amazing in this one. So 4.5 hours, did this initial base layer, got the palms on the bottom, then went back and added another neon, like bluish kind of color. Again, another 4.5 hours in the pressure pot, took that out, then I went back and added yet another. So we have palms on the bottom and 3 different layers of epoxy, and this is going to turn out absolutely gorgeous. Even though it's not very big, this is kind of experimental, so overall this is going to be something we're going to do in the future for sure. So how to improvise, adapt, and overcome. So 4.5 hours, I did this 3 different times, and you can see like the cool layers of colors that are already in there, and I'm thinking, oh my god, this is gonna turn out amazing. So I kind of got this idea. I initially saw this from Ben Works on YouTube. He's another woodworker, and he did this similar thing, but he like saved epoxy from like every epoxy project he did for a year, and had this cool like giant layer. I think he made a lamp out of it, and I was like, this could also be kind of cool. So this is what it looks like out of the mold itself. You can see all the cool colors in there, and the pom-poms are just more of just an afterthought after you look at the color, but we're going to make this into something a little bit cooler. So going to get that waste block on. I love using the glue gun. Don't be stingy with your glue. Your hot glue, put that on there. That's probably my favorite part of doing these projects, is putting on the waste block with the hot glue gun. If you go back and watch some of my older videos, I used to have this, I still have it, a small little glue gun, and it would take forever to put these on here. So I just, leveled up and got me a bigger one. So set all that up. Now we're just going to put the face plate on there, and as you guys know, I don't put the screws all the way in initially because it'll crack the pine, but just get everything about halfway in, 3/4 of the way, and then come back and screw everything down. So getting that all set up right then and there, and now we're just going to throw this on to the MIDI lathe. You can see how small it is in comparison to some of the projects, especially if you saw last week's project. This is definitely a little bit smaller, so this is going to end up going pretty quick. So it's still a 12-minute video, but I went and slowed down the actual process of making the bowl itself. So just really taking our time, because it had such a cool aesthetic. I thought, we really got to just take our time on this one. Not that I don't take my time with other projects, but when it's something this small and this delicate, the blank itself responds a little bit different on the chisel. So with bigger blanks, you have a lot more forgiveness because there's so much material to work with. But when you do these smaller projects like this, there's not a lot of material, so there's less room for error. Because I've done smaller projects like this using this particular mold, and have messed up to where it's basically just a plate by the time you're done with it. So just really taking our time using the bowl gouge, coming back, doing some gentle strokes with the round carbide tool, just trying to get everything nice and even. And especially with the weird oblong dips that are in that mold itself, you can see like this one right here. So I was like, okay, so we got to get a little bit more aggressive with the chisels, take off even more material. But you can see there we're getting really good ribbons. You can see the giant one that's in front of the lens of the camera, unfortunately. So sorry about that. Sometimes that'll tend to happen. But overall, we're getting just good material off. You can see these nice fine ribbons that are coming off the blank itself. So that's how you know the material is set up really well. Another thing that I've learned is I did this in December of 2021. Actually, no, I take that back. It was either December of 2021 or December of 2022. And you guys are watching this in likely the summer of 2022. But long story short, when you set up these molds, put them at room temperature, because the epoxy, when it sets up and cures, it's like 30-ish degrees in my little workshop by this time of year, and it's freezing, and that definitely affects the epoxy. So if you're not going to get to the epoxy immediately, make sure to have it set up at room temperature inside of your house, because that definitely plays a factor into the mold setting up and the epoxy resin setting up, so you get good ribbons, good material off like you're seeing here. So once we got everything kind of like cylindrical in the way that we want, it's really not cylindrical, but everything's nice and even. Now we're just taking off the bottom layer and getting everything nice and flat so we can go ahead and start making the mortise. And just taking small gentle strokes, nothing too aggressive. And you'll see a little bit later some of this cool green color ribbons that we'll have on the, actually you can kind of see them there on my work gloves. Really cool colors that we're getting off of this, but we're just making sure everything is nice and even before we actually start the mortise portion of it. And again, I've learned, if you go back and watch a couple of videos ago, I had a smaller project like this and I ended up breaking the bottom of the mortise by setting up the chuck jaws a little too tight. So learn my lesson from that. So we're going to make this just as large as we need to be, just large enough to go ahead and flip it onto the chuck jaws itself. Nothing too aggressive. And you'll see here a little bit later, I'm just making this barely large enough to fit the actual chuck jaws. You can see there I'm just measuring it up. But another thing that you can see is you can see the cool green shavings that are coming off of that, and that's just the green palms getting hit by the chisels themselves. But turns out really good. And we're almost there, just a little bit larger. Just really taking our time with this. Just trying to save as much material as possible. So boom, got a good fit. Now we're just going to go ahead and take off the faceplate itself and then get this attached to the chuck jaws and get this turned and gouged out. So going to basically just get rid of this waste block. I used to take chisels and just pop that off, but I use so much glue, it's just easier just to go ahead and just take the square carbide tool and get everything off. It just works a lot simpler, a lot easier. You see that giant knot in there, and I did have a little bit of issue getting that off, but it just, you know, melts like butter because it's just pine. So once we got that off, now we're just making everything nice and flat, getting that superficial layer off the surface of it so we can start the gouging part. And this took no time at all. You can see how just not as in depth it is, and you can see the good ribbons we're getting off of this. And this part took less than 20 minutes. I want to say it probably didn't even take that long. Probably took like more like 15. But now we're just trying to gauge how deep we want to go with the actual gouge itself. And then we're just going to start working the sides of the bowl, work the lip of the bowl, get it to a nice depth, make the ridges at the appropriate measure that you want it to be. And really happy with this, how this looks out. It's going to look amazing once we start the actual sanding part. I hate sanding, but the different colors definitely really pop on this project. And I can't wait to do another one, and I'm definitely going to do it larger. It might take a lot of time because you want to put everything in the pressure pot and set everything up. That's kind of time consuming. But overall, really like this aesthetic. And even though Amazon ripped me off with their false advertising, we got a pretty decent project this week out of it. So overall, really happy how this turns out. Sometimes with mistakes, and sometimes when things don't work out, you just got to make them work for you. You know what I'm saying? So make it work. Make it work. So here are all the shavings from this small little bowl. Not large. You can see the cool green color in there. Really love that color, by the way. But I'm always amazed at how many shavings come off of small little projects like that. But you can tell really good epoxy setup by the way the ribbons look and the shavings. So here we are sanding, my favorite part obviously, going from 340 all the way up to 1500, and then we're going to hit it with the micro mesh here in just a little bit, get everything nice and polished up, getting everything just nice and even. And when you're working with just all epoxy material, the wet sanding is where it's at, and bam, there it is. You can see how just cool this looks. Absolutely gorgeous. Even though it's a small project, I still love the way this looks. Absolutely gorgeous. So now we're just hitting it with that wood wax, getting everything nice and polished. You can still see the small little palms on the bottom. They add a little something to it, but the real beauty in this is just the overall color, how this turned out. But absolutely love this gorgeous project. Just turned out absolutely amazing. Can't say enough good stuff about this. And you'll see here once I stop the lathe, the actual color that comes out. And I ended up finishing this at night, so I couldn't put it out in the sun for you guys to kind of really see what the aesthetic looked like. But overall, really happy the way this turned out. and there will be a larger project like this in the future, so no doubt. So hope you guys liked the project, hope you guys got something out of it. Leave a comment. You guys are watching this in the summer of 2022. It is I'm doing this commentary in January of 2022, finished it in January 2022, so 7 months, 6 months in the future. So hope everybody's doing well out there, and don't forget to subscribe, leave a comment, all that stuff that every other YouTuber says, and I will see you guys in the next project. All right, stay safe. Peace. Okay, so project is done. Look at this little guy. Cute little bowl. The layers of colors. I don't know if you can really see that on the camera, but you can kind of see the different layers that we put in there. You can see those little crappy bowls I got from Amazon. I'm pretty sure I probably went over that in the commentary. But we are definitely going to do a project like this, but we're going to upscale it. Like, this is so cool. These different layers that you kind of see in there. Really love the color, and it just pops. Just love that. Imagine this way bigger though, and that's definitely what we're gonna do in a later project. I don't know when, but definitely gonna try to do that. It's just time consuming putting everything in the pressure pot and everything, but overall really happy the way this turned out. Like I said, the Amazon little balls, probably not, you know, what I wanted them to be, but got something cool out of it. So always love when that happens. And I love doing these just pure epoxy projects. Those are really nice on the chisels. So today is January 9th, 2021, or 2022. Let me double check. Yeah, January 9th, 2022. And you guys are probably watching this in the summer of 2022. So hope everybody's doing warm. I've got like 4 layers on because it's freezing here in Texas, or at least it's freezing here to me. So don't forget to subscribe, leave a comment, like it, all that good stuff, and I'll see you guys in the next project. All right, peace.